If you work for the NHS, one of the most valuable benefits you have is your pension. It's often described as one of the best pension schemes in the country, but it's also one of the most complicated. So let's break it down step by step and explain everything you need to know. First, the basics. The NHS Pension Scheme is a defined benefit pension. That means your retirement income is based on your salary and your length of service, not on how investments perform. Now, this is very different from most private pensions, which are defined contribution, where the amount you get depends on how much you put in and how well your investments do. With the NHS scheme, you're promised a guaranteed income for life, backed by the government. Now, there are actually several versions of the NHS pension, because the scheme has changed over the years. The main ones are the 1995 scheme, the 2008 scheme, and the 2015 scheme. Which one you're in depends on when you joined and whether you've been moved across. So let's look at them one by one. The 1995 scheme is a final salary pension, which means your pension is based on your pay near the end of your career. Specifically, it uses the best of your last 3 years' pensionable pay, and you get 1/80th of that pay for every year of service, plus a separate lump sum of 3/80ths per year. The normal retirement age in this scheme is 60 years old. For example, if you retire after 30 years with a final pensionable salary of £40,000, your pension would be worked out as 30/80ths of £40,000, which equals £15,000 a year. On top of that, you would also receive a lump sum of 30 times 3/80ths of 40,000, which equals 45,000, paid at retirement. So in this example, you would get £15,000 every year for life, plus a £45,000 lump sum up front. Now, the 2008 scheme is also a final salary scheme, but the calculation is a bit different. It uses your reckonable pay, which is usually your average over the last 10 years, and you get 1/60th for every year of service. Unlike the 1995 scheme, there's no automatic lump sum, although you can give up some of your annual pension to take one. The normal retirement age for this scheme is 65 years old. For example, if you had 30 years of service and your reckonable pay was £40,000, your pension would be 30/60ths of £40,000, which equals £20,000 a year. There is no automatic lump sum, but if you wanted one, you could swap £1 of annual pension for £12 of lump sum. So in this example, giving up £2,000 of pension would give you £24,000 cash. The 2015 scheme is where things get more detailed. It's a career average revalued earnings scheme, often shortened to CARE. Instead of your pension being based on just your final salary, it's built up gradually across your entire NHS career. Each year that you're in the scheme, 1/54th of your pensionable earnings for that year is carved out and added to your pension pot. But here's the important part. That slice of pension isn't frozen. Every year, it's revalued in line with inflation plus 1.5%. So the value of what you've already built keeps growing even if your salary doesn't. So here's an example. Suppose you earn £40,000. In 1 year, you'd build up 1/54th of that £40,000, which is about £740 of annual pension. That £740 then gets uprated each year by inflation plus 1.5%. Let's say inflation was 3%. So that £740 would increase to around £765 the following year, £790 the year after, and so on. And that's before you've even added the next year's accrual. Now let's stretch that over time. If you stayed in the scheme for say 30 years, earning around £40,000 each year, you'd add roughly £740 of pension each year. That's £22,200 across 30 years before revaluation. But because each year's slice is boosted by inflation and the 1.5% top-up, the final figure could be £25,000 to £28,000 a year or more, depending on how inflation plays out. That's a guaranteed inflation-linked pension for life. Now, one of the big differences with the 2015 scheme is the retirement age. It's linked to your state pension age, which is currently 66, but will rise to 67 between 2026 and 2028, and then to 68 in the years after that. That means you may have to work longer than under the 1995 or 2008 schemes to get your full pension. But it also means the pension is designed to be sustainable for longer careers, and the inflation up rating makes sure your pension keeps its value over time. Another thing worth noting is that if your salary changes significantly, say you move from band 5 to a band 7 role, the 2015 scheme captures that growth fairly. Each year's accrual reflects your actual pay for that year. So unlike the older final salary schemes where long service at a lower pay grade followed by a jump at the end might not be fully reflected, the 2015 care structure ensures every year contributes fairly to your pension. Because of changes brought in around 2015, most NHS staff are now in this care scheme, although many built up benefits in the older schemes as well. This means a lot of members have benefits in more than one section, and they're added together when you retire. Now, how much do you pay in? NHS staff make contributions based on their pensionable pay. The rates are tiered, so lower earners pay a smaller percentage and higher earners pay more. As of April 2025, the bands are as follows. But here's the important bit. The NHS, as your employer, also contributes a large amount on top, around 23.7% of salary, including the administration levy. Now that's why the scheme is often called incredibly generous compared to private pensions. So what do you get out of it? When you retire, you receive an income every year for life. It's guaranteed and it rises each year with inflation, so its value is protected. Depending on which section you're in, you may still get a lump sum at retirement, or you can exchange some of your annual pension for a lump sum. Now there are also benefits if something happens before retirement. If you become too ill to work, you may be able to retire early on ill health grounds and get an enhanced pension. If you pass away while still working in the NHS, the scheme pays a lump sum death benefit, often twice your actual pay, and pensions for your spouse, civil partner, or dependents. That means the scheme isn't just about retirement, it also protects your family along the way. Now, one big question people ask is, can you take your NHS pension early? The answer is yes, but with reductions. If you take it before your scheme's normal retirement age, your pension is reduced because it will be paid for longer. If you carry on working beyond normal retirement age, it can increase. Another common question is, what if you leave the NHS? If you leave before retirement, the benefits you've built up stay in the scheme. They don't disappear. They'll just be frozen and revalued with inflation until you reach retirement. You can also transfer them into another pension scheme, but many people find it's better value to leave them where they are because of the guarantees. And what about tax? Like all pensions, NHS pensions are subject to annual allowance rules. The annual allowance is the maximum amount your pension can grow each year before triggering a tax charge, which can catch some higher earners. The lifetime allowance tax charge has been abolished, making NHS pensions more attractive again. And finally, it's worth mentioning that because the NHS scheme is so valuable, it plays a huge part in your overall financial planning. It gives you a guaranteed income that you can rely on, which means any other savings or investments you build can be used more flexibly. It also means that opting out is usually a bad idea. Some people think they can save more by investing on their own, but giving up an employer contribution of nearly a quarter of your salary plus all the guarantees is rarely a good deal. So to sum up, the NHS pension scheme is a defined benefit pension that provides a guaranteed inflation-linked income for life. There are different sections, 1995, 2008 and 2015, with slightly different rules, but they all share the same core advantage: security. Your contributions are matched many times over by the NHS, and you also get valuable protections for you and your family. It may be complicated, but it's one of the strongest financial benefits of working in the NHS. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon for more videos just like this one. If you're keen to learn more about finance, be sure to check out theindustryportal.com, link in the description below. Thanks so much for stopping by, and as always, keep growing, keep learning, and I'll see you in the next video.